everybody. Welcome to the Blonde Blitz, the Halloween episode 8. I am your co-host, Deb the California Barbie. And joining me, as always, the Queen of New York, Barbie as well, Nikki Guest.
Hi, Deb. Should we show them our costumes a little bit more?
I feel like I need to. Do you want to?
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, right?
We obviously both had to go Barbie for Halloween. Yes. I've been doing Barbie since I cannot even remember, but we've got California Barbie here, we've got New York Barbie.
We had to be Barbie. We had to.
I know. I mean, we are in everyday life anyway, so
I just embraced it. I just embraced the Barbie, and I'm rolling with it. Although I think when I put this dress on, I mean, it says adult Barbie dress, but I think I picked up like a kid's. I don't know. It's awfully short.
They're tiny. I have one too. I don't have one where I am right now, but I have one in California. So I'm on the East Coast right now, but for work. But yeah, no, I put mine on. I was like, this is really tight. Like I have like one of the pleather, like pink and really short and really tight. I was like, oh, I'm not quite sure this fits, but
is really short and really tight. But you know what? Yeah. Some leggings under it, because I have to wear it again on Halloween. So definitely some leggings.
I'm sure you rock it amazing. Amazing. But do you want to talk about we've got a great show today. We've got what did you think about the Giants game this week?
We won. I was so excited that we won finally.
You guys won. Very excited for you.
I didn't know. I forgot what happiness felt like. You know? I was like, what is this feeling? Am I elated? Is this hope? Because I don't want to have hope now, Deb. God forbid I have hope on this team.
Hope. Yeah. I mean, and you called it. You said that they were going to win. Marnie and I both said the Commanders had it. And you were like, you went with your gut and you said they were going to step up. And they did.
They certainly stepped up. Defense played really, really well, which I thought they would do. I thought they would pressure Sam Howell all day long and force him into some rookie mistakes and hold on to the ball too long. That's exactly what they did. And they pressured him all day. We got a little glimpse of how Tyrod Taylor again this week is moving the offense. I don't think there's a quarterback controversy in New York, although people are making it out to be one. I think it's if Tyrod Taylor's available and Daniel Jones is not due to his injury, then I'm rooting for Tyrod Taylor. I don't get these fans that root for losses or they're just not rooting for like their, the quarterback. I just don't get that. I don't understand that. Right. Always rooting for a win, right? Like,
absolutely. But what happens if Jones is back and Tyrod Taylor is available too? Like, what happens there?
Well, we did talk about this on Monday night. I mean, you don't want to. I get it. You don't want to bench your $40 million quarterback. The neck is really nothing to mess around with. So I do hope that he's not rushed back. However, oh my gosh, Deb, I think you ride a hot hand. I mean, Tyrod, listen, hot for New York. All right. I'm not saying we're like blazing trails here, but he is moving the offense a little bit better. So I can't deny that. I want Daniel Jones to come back healthy and lead this team and go on a run. It's really not about that. I just want whoever is going to win the games and put this team in the best position to win. But if Jones is available, now what I think might happen, he'll be available and have a really bad game. And then the fans and the media are going to lose their mind.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that one. I think, who do you think is a better quarterback though? And if he wasn't hurt, I mean, I guess he is.
Listen, I really haven't seen enough of Tyrod Taylor. We see him here and there. He's like that journeyman backup. So I can't really say. They're very different, but for right now, he is moving the offense a little bit better. This was like the 6th or 7th offensive line shuffle the Giants had. So maybe that combination is working. prior to that, Daniel Jones was like seeing ghosts, right? He wasn't seeing the field, missing receivers. Yeah, literally couldn't see the field. So, we'll see. We have a big game coming up against the Jets that we will get into. But Deb, what about your Eagles?
I mean, they did it.
I know.
Definitely did it. Obviously won over the Dolphins 31-17. I think all of us picked the Eagles to win it. I said they would bounce back. Brought me back to like last season with the Washington Commanders where they lost that one. They lost their undefeated status and they were not happy, and they bounced back after that. So similar to this situation, I feel like. I mean, AJ Brown, he had a great game. Got NFC Player of the Week. He's also on our fantasy team.
Yes.
Which, by the way, our fantasy team, we lost by like 3 points, and we had the second highest ranking of all of the teams, but we still lost. Like, I was like, how does this
maddening,
work?
Isn't it? I know. It's maddening.
Oh my God, this is
very frustrating.
So frustrating. But no, I mean, AJ Brown, I've said this, one of my favorite wide receivers in the league, not just because he's an Eagle. 10 catches for 137 yards, 1 touchdown. Jalen Hurts, not an A+ game for him, but he didn't need to be A+. I definitely would give him like a B+ for the game. He did have that 1 pick six, really wasn't his fault. And he was obviously playing through a knee injury. Everybody thought it. We kind of knew something was a little off, but it wasn't really announced till later. But I think the defense played great. I honestly think our defense is a little bit better than our offense. I think they're a little bit stronger. Josh Sweat had 2 sacks himself. And I think coming into the game, Tua had only been sacked like 6 times all season, and the Eagles got him 3 times in one game.
Welcome to Philly.
Welcome to Philly. But yeah, no, I mean, the defense held the Dolphins offense to 45 yards. They've been averaging like 182 yards per game. So, the fact that Sweat and, Reddick, Davis, Carter, they held them to 45 is huge. So yeah, all in all, I think we had a great game. I'm excited. They seem back. They seem charged. And yeah, I mean, I can't believe I just said charged. I covered the Chargers. So I'm sneaking in there, which is fine. But yeah, I was worried about the Dolphins defense because of Vic Fangino, because he's such a good defensive coordinator. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles got the best of them, so yay.
Okay, what do you mean they're back? When did they go away? Please enlighten me.
Is that horrible that I said that?
Because I hear it all the time from Eagles fans, and I'm like, when did you guys go away? Like,
they didn't. They haven't. You know what it is? It's just we got, and I've said this probably 30 times now. They're not the team. They're not the team from last season. New OC, new DC, different players. You just can't compare. And I think all Eagles fans are still doing that, and we probably will continue to do that throughout the season. But no, I mean, obviously the Eagles have a great record. They were undefeated for a really long time and have one of the best records in the NFL right now. So yeah, no, you're right. But it's funny that you hear people say that, and I just said it too. So
constantly. I mean, I see this fan base on social media, and I'm like, come on, guys. Like, you could be in our position, like so hyped up to beat the Commanders that we do all the time. I just think, as you guys had said last week, you guys are a passionate bunch. Okay. I'll give you passionate bunch. Passionate bunch, passionate fans.
I still loved your face, by the way, and I knew you were making it. And I was like, when Marnie and I are talking, and I'm like, Nikki is just trying to hold it in right now.
Trying to hold it together. And it was so funny because a lot of you guys messaged me and were like, Nikki, great job holding it together and being professional. I was like, yes, I'd like to thank the Academy for that performance. Maybe I'll get an Emmy.
Right? Absolutely. That's what we'll be up there together.
Maybe one day, the Barbies, the bi-coastal Barbies. Hey, there we go.
One more time. No.
You can only see us from like the
right. I'm like
waist up.
Anyway,
because then you can't see and you can't see us. What's up, Albert? Thanks for stopping by and joining us. We definitely appreciate it. Tyrod Taylor, first Black quarterback to win for the G-Men. Okay, all right. Well,
all right,
congrats
guys.
on the newspaper ads about your podcast all over Jersey. Oh,
thank you.
Right. Well, thank you. Listen, Blonde Blitz is doing big things. We have big guests, even bigger shows to come for the rest of the season. Speaking of guests, is our guest here yet?
I don't think she is, but is she here?
Hello.
Hi.
Well, I had this
so pretty.
So it's our Barbie look.
It's Halloween.
I love it.
Halloween week, so we went Barbie.
Oh, I love it. I did not get the memo, so I'm a little disappointed, but it's okay. I still love you.
I just got the memo like an hour ago, 2 hours ago.
It's okay.
Well, I had this whole big intro written for you, Mayra, but I will just intro a little bit. So guys, this is Mayra Gomez. She is a kick-ass woman in sports. She's bilingual. She's a sports reporter, anchor, analyst. I've literally seen her do it all, from football to soccer. She's covered San Francisco, the Raiders. She was the sideline reporter for Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football for the Spanish broadcast last season. She covered all the teams. We've hung out, Super Bowl, Combine, the draft.
We met at the Super Bowl, Deb.
That's right, we did. With LA.
3 years ago. Yep. 2 years ago. LA, yep.
That's crazy. Well, you're definitely a force on the field, a bright light in the press boxes. And we're super excited to have you here to kind of learn more about how you got to where you are today.
You're gonna make me cry, Deb. Thank you very much. It's been quite the journey. It's funny because every time you get invited to be a guest at a podcast, you don't think of how much you've done, especially as a woman in the NFL. And then you start, someone starts listing and you're like, oh my gosh, oh yes, I did do that. That's nice. It's always really nice. Thank you.
And I have to, I love following you on Facebook and Instagram and seeing all your amazing places. So tell us, what made you want to go into sports broadcasting?
So I played sports my whole life. I think the one thing that we watched at home was sports. And as you said, bilingual. So my mother always said in Spanish, que no hay otra cosa que ver. As in, isn't there anything else to watch on TV other than sports? Because we'd wake up and it was sports. My father had a satellite system set up. So we had sports from all over the world, from tennis, hockey, baseball, basketball, European soccer, Mexican soccer, you name it, wrestling. We'd wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch AAA, which was the wrestling, league in Mexico. So sports has always been a big part of who I am growing up, family. And a few years ago, I said, you know what? I think this sounds like fun. I had somebody ask what I was going to do with my life eventually, because ideally I wanted to play soccer professionally. But as any good athlete, I messed up my ankle and then I never played again. But yeah, so then I went out to Mexico City and I did a master's degree in sports journalism. And I actually started covering NFL in Mexico. A lot of people don't understand how big the NFL is in Mexico. I mean, I had no idea how big the NFL was in Mexico. And then I found out when I lived there, when I actually moved to Mexico City. And it's been there for over 100 years. There's millions of fans. Mexico City is actually the city outside of the US. It's the one city with the most amount of fans in the NFL. So it's pretty big.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
And they're playing. They're still playing in Mexico City too.
So
right?
They haven't done it. So they didn't do it this year. They're not going to do it next year because the one stadium that is qualified by the NFL, that the NFL has said, yay, we can play here, is Estadio Azteca, which is the historic stadium in Mexico City. And unfortunately, it's under construction. They're remodeling it. It's not under construction. It's being remodeled for the World Cup because now FIFA has come in and said, okay, you want a game here? Well, now you have to do other things. So, yes.
Okay. Well, hopefully we see NFL back there.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I hope so. It's a huge celebration. So, but I know the NFL now is looking to go to Spain and they're also looking to go to Brazil. So it'll be interesting.
Oh, I love that they're expanding the product. I love that.
Yes.
It's
So
awesome.
so do I. And I know a lot of fans all over the world are excited every time they hear information in Spanish, every time they hear that the NFL is coming to their country, that the NFL is going to be nearby. It's just the fans are amazing. I have a friend that's actually coming from Germany to the Thursday night football game because we went to school together in North Carolina. So he's a Panthers fan, and we'll be in Chicago for Thursday night football this year to watch Chicago against Carolina.
That's so cool. It's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that other countries are embracing the sport and the NFL product. So, Mayra, what steps did you take to get into sports broadcasting exactly? And then once you were there, how did you know, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be? This feels right.
I still don't know if I'm where I'm supposed to be, but I kind
Okay.
of just go with it. No.
Depends on the day, right? We don't know. It depends on the day.
It really is. So I always, and I've talked to Deb about this before, and I've told her like it just kind of comes to you. You kind of have an idea, at least I did, have an idea of what I wanted to do, but I would have never in my wildest dreams thought I was going to be a sideline reporter at a Super Bowl. I was going to be broadcasting internationally. I had no idea. I mean, I couldn't never have imagined any of that. So I guess one of the biggest things to me was study. If you're going to be somewhere, you have to be well prepared. You have to know exactly what you're talking about. There has to be no question in anyone's mind that you know what it is that you're talking about. So when I decided that I wanted to do broadcasting, sports broadcasting, I also decided I wanted to do it in Spanish. Why? Because I felt there was a need for sports broadcasting in Spanish and women that actually knew their craft. And so, no offense to anyone that started, but back in the day, but it was different. It was very different. And so when I went out to Mexico, got my sports journalism there, and then realized that there was a need not only for Spanish broadcasters, but NFL information in Spanish for Spanish speakers, for a Spanish audience. And that's kind of where I started knocking doors, started contacting people. I had a short stint with the Chargers. I worked a little bit with the San Francisco 49ers. I went to the Super Bowl with them a couple years ago. And so it's really a lot of networking, a lot of studying, a lot of preparation, and you got to be ready for whenever anybody comes knocking in the door or responds to an email, a call, a text message. So yes.
And you mentioned working with the San Francisco 49ers, and you're from Salinas, California. So you're a fan before you were working for them.
No.
Okay.
So I grew up a Raider fan. I grew up a Raider fan from Oakland. And
so you became a fan once you worked with them. No.
Yes. So I did. So at this point, I actually tell everyone I love all 32 teams because I've been in the NFL. I think after a few years of covering the NFL, you make close relationships. You have a lot of relationships with many different players, many different coaches, their wives, their significant others. You get to know their kids. So you kind of just want everyone in the NFL, anyone that you know, to do well. And so that's kind of what happened. But I originally started as a Raider fan, and I now have the opportunity. I'm working with the Raiders as their Spanish analyst. And that's kind of been a full circle kind of moment. Obviously, the season hasn't been great for them on the field. So I've struggled a little bit with the adjustments. And as you mentioned, after, being an analyst for the San Francisco 49ers, now coming to the Raiders, it's been a struggle, but I have to say that the players have been just as amazing as those in San Francisco. They've been very welcoming. I came in only a day before the season started. And so when I came into the locker room, it was a week after they'd already started. And half of them already knew me from other assignments. And I remember Max Crosby. I said, "You don't remember me, do you?" He goes, "I remember your face, but your hair is different."
That's funny that he picked up on that.
He goes, "I saw you walk in and I know your face because I know your face, but your hair doesn't look the same." So I said, "Yes, I met him last year on TNF against when they played the Rams in LA." And I said, "Yeah, you made me run with you." He goes, "I knew it, but your hair was darker." So yes, it was really nice.
It's nice.
So
such a funny thing to pick up on.
Absolutely. You never know what they're paying attention to. you know, and so for him, you know, this is Max Crosby, one of the top players in the NFL.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know your face, but I don't know your hair. Your hair's different. Yep, you were
Your hair's
blonde, now you're
right.
I'm like, wow, thank you. That made me feel special.
Yeah, say, how does that make you feel that these guys are actually
Very
recognizing you from
special.
other gigs?
I
Yeah,
mean, it
that's
really,
really
it's
cool.
thankful. It's very thankful because there's always, you know, there's always obviously like this very thin line between being professional and then like crossing over, and then there's like the friendship and not. And so I always walk around with, you know, like on eggshells, kind of trying to figure out like where, you know, what can I say, what can I not, where do I go, where do I not. I always try not to get in trouble, but at the same time staying true to who I am. And I'm loud and I'm fun and I'm, you know, I like to talk to people. And so I always keep in mind there's a phrase an expression that my mother always says to me: be respectful to others. So, you know, respect yourself so others respect you. And that's always been my thing. And so talking to these players, it's the same thing. And I always like to get to know their significant others as well. So there's no confusion. So it's like, this is professionalism and this is what I want from you. And so it feels nice when someone like Max Crosby recognizes you, with, you know, with someone like Austin Hooper remembers you from the interview you did with him a couple years ago. And so it's nice.
It's funny what people pick up on, isn't it? I know, like, so I covered the Giants, and it's only my second year covering, and I didn't think when I came back this year they would remember me. And they're like, "Oh, Nikki with the blonde hair," and I was like, "Really?" Like, I didn't, because I was so new. But I'm glad you brought up that fine line of being professional yet being a personable person and being kind of, warm, and you want people to, especially, reporting, you want them to feel comfortable with you, right? And open up a little bit. So how did you navigate that? Because it's not something that not for me, my first year. And I was like trying to find my footing and what do I do and what do I say? And I don't want to offend. I feel a little bit better year 2, but how did you navigate that?
So one of the things I always do, like to this day, is anytime I meet a player, I still go the old school way. I still do a handshake, eye contact. I'm Mayra Gomez. And if they don't say who they are, I ask them, who are you?
Oh.
Because it's like, you cannot assume who I am, that I know you. I'm Mayra Gomez, you are.
Right.
And so immediately it's like, okay, I'm introducing myself to you because you're a person, I'm a person. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can Google me and find out a lot of things about me, but you have no idea who I am. And then I ask them how they're doing. How are you? And I do, I always do the, how are you? If I found out if they have any kids, they always love talking about their family. They love talking about their kids. They love talking about their partners. If it's out there, it's because they want to talk about them. Right. So I always do that, letting them know, hey, I just want to talk to you. Funny thing, this week, I spoke to one of the players and he was like, where's your camera? I said, what do you mean, where's my camera? He's like, well, are you not going to record me? He's like, do you write everything down? I said, no, I just want to say hi, see how you're doing. He goes, you're not going to report what I say? I said, no, I just want to get to know you. He's like, oh, okay.
Do you think a lot of reporters do that though? Or is it
I've seen a few. Okay. I don't know how many do it. I can't say that we all do it because I don't think we all do it. But I think there is, you've got to be able to give that trust, especially when we are there every single day, to let them know I've got your back. Because a lot of these athletes will not have a conversation with you or will not tell you what you want to hear because they're afraid that you're going to spin their words. They're constantly, many of them, especially if you go into their backgrounds when it comes to football, a lot of them don't come from the best places. So they're used to being attacked from the time they were kids to today. They're constantly being attacked. They're constantly being criticized. They're constantly being doubted. And so when someone comes around, you want to make sure that they understand that you've got their back and they can say something to you and they can vent to you and you know what to say and what not to say. And so it's those kinds of, when you build those relationships, there are times when they say things to me where I'm like, if you told this to somebody else, and I sometimes remind them and I tell them, hey, if you say this to anyone else, like be careful because A, B, and C. And they're like, I know, Mayra, but it's you. Okay. Let's just remember, I'm still Mayra. And so it's building that relationship with them and having them understand, like, I'm not here to get you. I'm going to tell the story, because at the end of the day, the people that listen to us, the people that, tune in, they want to know the truth. Right. They want to know what's happening. They want to know the information. And there's no reason for us to spin anybody's words. And there's no reason to try to, be like a hunt them and go against them or anything.
Right. Like we're not here for the gotcha moment, or that's not how I report. I have colleagues that do that, and that's not my style. And to your point about building trust, I had conversations with many current and ex Giants, and it's off the record and it's in the vault, and I'll never say anything, and that's it, Exactly. But had they said it to somebody else, it would have gotten out. And I will say that.
Yeah. It is, but that's what it is. And that's why it's always been so important to me. And I always go back to what my mother says: be respectful to be respected. And that goes on everything, every single aspect. When it comes to my job, when it comes to coaches, when it comes to players. I remember a couple years ago, I saw Raheem Mostert, who now plays for Miami. He used to play for San Francisco. So I met him. I built a relationship with him. I saw him on the field. I was an athlete myself. So before games, I don't really like to talk to people. However, last year when I was with Prime, I was encouraged to talk to the players. But it was that new surrounding. I was new. I was like, but they're locked in. Like, that's their space. Let them be. And so then I saw Raheem, and I wanted to go say hi, because I was like, it's Raheem. But I just kind of, I sat there and I was like, hey. And he looks up and he ran to me to say hello. And I was like, oh my gosh, Raheem, thank you so much. You made me feel so good, because I really wanted to say hi to you. But it's those kinds, when you build that relationship, you respect their space. It could have turned out that I went to him and he could have said, hey, Mayra, it's good to see you, but back off.
Yeah.
So really knowing, so it's really reading. One of the reporters that was sharing the sidelines with me, I asked her, and I said, hey, you know what? I was encouraged to talk to the players. And she's like, you're part of the broadcast team. You can do that. But just make eye contact with the player. Understand if they're locked in, or if they're not, if they look at you and smile and say, hey, how's it going? And approach them. If they look at you and they do, and turn the other way, walk away. Let them be.
Yeah.
So, just read the room. Read the room.
Read the room. It'll take you far in life. Read a room, any room that you're in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yes.
Well, Mayra, too, talking about Thursday Night Football and Prime, if you could sum up that experience in 3 words, what would they be?
God.
Because I know you had a blast.
Dream.
I watched you do it.
I did. I mean, I would say there's so many ways to describe Thursday Night Football. It was an adventure, a very, very, very good adventure. And it was a school. It was a lot of education. It was a lot of learning. It was a lot of understanding how to do certain things, who to talk to, again, when to speak, when not to speak. That was probably the first time where I was around people that, they're Pro Football Hall of Famers. Carissa Thompson, who's an icon of, women in the NFL and just NFL in general. And so watching her every single day, and I was so thankful to her every single game, when we were done, and I would ask, how'd it go? She would look at me and say, no, how did you feel? How did it go for you? And just those few minutes that she gave me every single game meant the world to me. So yes, I think that's it. It was an adventure. It was an educational period, and it was a dream come true. One that I did not have, but I got to experience, and I hope to one day be back. And everything that I learned, I take now, and I try to, live by. I will tell you, there was one moment that I was like, oh my gosh, like, pinch me. And it was the first time I went in the car with all of them. So you got Tony Gonzalez, you have Richard Sherman, Carissa Thompson, Andrew Whitworth, and you have Ryan Fitzpatrick, you have Michael, Bobby, and they're all coming in the car one at a time. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, and my eyes just get bigger and bigger with each car. And we're in LA, and I was like introducing myself to everyone, and I'm like, pinch me, pinch me. Oh my goodness, this is real.
So real.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was great. But they're all great people. Every one of them. They're amazing.
So was that one of your, when you think back on your career so far, was that one of your favorite moments of all time? Or do you have another one or two favorite moments that stick out to you so far?
So there's that one. And then there's one where we were actually driving to no, I'll tell you, there was the very first time I was on the field. I was working with the Chargers, and the national anthem started playing. I'm standing on the field with my credential, and I looked over at my colleague and I said, wow, this is what it feels like. And it was just, you have the flags spread on the field. You've got, someone singing. I don't even remember who was singing it. And then you suddenly have just the planes in your, and it's like little you and this huge show. And so, yes, that was probably
awesome.
one time where I get chills just thinking back to it and being able to experience. I'd been to football fields, football stadiums, but I'd never been a part of a team. And that was the very first time that I was a part of the team and a part of the NFL. And it was quite the moment.
Yeah.
How about that moment of you hoisting up the Lombardi trophy? Super Bowl too.
That was actually funny. That was really, really funny because so Kim she's the photographer for the NFL. She's actually a director there, but we're hanging out, we're having a good time. And one of the members of the Kansas City Chiefs looks over at us. And of course, you do the confetti pictures because it's a Super Bowl. And he looks at us and he says, hey, he's like, aren't you all going to take the picture? And we're like, what? The picture with the Lombardi, we're about to take it. And we're like, can we? He goes, of course. We're like, oh, okay. So we're in line. Get this. So we're in line with the Juju's family. So Juju's there, and he's looking at us like, what in the world? I was like, hey, how's it going? Congratulations. You just won the Super Bowl. He's like, oh, hey, how's it going? And so we're sitting there talking to Juju and his whole family. And, they take their picture, and then I go take my picture, and there's all the lips and all the fingers. And at the same, when you think about it, it's kind of gross to hold it.
Yeah. Oh, right, yeah. It always stresses me out to look at that. The lips, the fingerprint. I'm like, oh.
So much going on in there.
Funny thing is, I didn't notice it until a couple of days. Yesterday when I did that reel, and I see it when it turns, and you can see the glare of all the finger. And I was like, ew. But in that moment, it was amazing. It was great. Yes.
Well, the energy in that Super Bowl, that energy in that stadium is unmatched.
Who doesn't want to hold the Lombardi after they, just won it? So yes.
No one. Of course you want to.
But now that I think about it, and now that I see that picture and I see the reflection, I do go, I hope I wash my hands well after that.
Well, you're still here, so I'm sure
exactly.
Fine. You must have washed your hands.
I ate enough dirt growing up.
Yeah, right.
We're immune.
Do you have that moment? Maybe that was your moment where you feel like, okay, I've made it in my career, or do you feel like you haven't hit that moment yet?
I have not. I don't think I have. I think every moment I've enjoyed every moment. I keep checking off. I think it's always bigger and bigger and bigger. I like to enjoy the moment that I'm in, but I always feel there's more to be done. And at this point, one of the things that I love is when, people say you being there makes me believe that I too can be there. And through a period where it was very dark and I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to do NFL. And this was actually before Prime. I went into my inbox and I saved certain messages, and just reading over people's messages about, you inspire me. Like, I see you and I know that I can be there. It's like, wow, you're a Latina and you're covering the NFL. And, the whole like representation matters. Like, these people made me realize that. And so now what I work a lot on is creating opportunities for others. And every time that I have the opportunity to sit with any NFL owner, any NFL CEO, CMO, I'm constantly telling them how important it is to create a platform for Spanish speakers, not only because it's a business, not only because it's a huge missed opportunity, but because I know that if all 32 teams create a, Spanish content within their teams, you're creating more jobs for all these people, all these kids, all these Latinos that are bilingual, all these people in Mexico and Spain. And so there's more opportunities. And I think there's still so much more to be done. And because of it, I don't think I've quite hit my top yet, but I am working on it every single day.
Well, you've done a lot so far for a lot of us. And there's a lot of us out there that look up to you. And you know what? It's tough. I think all of us can say sometimes being a woman in this industry, you have hard days, right? There's hard days. And sometimes I feel like I have to work twice as hard as the guy that's standing next to me. But, there's women out there that I look up to, and you being one of them. And that just kind of helps you get through the rough days,
It really does. There's one thing, for example, MJ, and speaking of, how you have to do things more, better. You have to do things. You're set to a higher standard. You can't make mistakes. You've got to blah, 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 right? You have to know everybody's DNA.
Right.
But there was something that MJ said, and when she was interviewed, and it was like, I'm doing it my way. Yeah. This is my way. This is the way I do it. And I think that once we find what our way is, and we stay true to that, that style, we stay true to that format, we all make mistakes. Yeah. So if everyone wants to come after us because we mispronounced somebody's name, then come after us. Yeah. But the reality is, this is our way, this is our style, and we're going to continue to do it that way. And personally, I think we make it look better than our male colleagues, but I love them. I love them all.
Maybe a little bit.
But I think we look better.
Mayra, what advice would you give to the younger generation, or anybody, doesn't matter age, if they want to get into sports and sports broadcasting? You gave a little bit of it there, but wanted to see if you had any ideas.
But most importantly, I think just it's study, because that doesn't matter whether you're a male or a female, you're young, you're old, you're whatever. You need to be prepared. You have to be prepared. You have to know the game. You have to understand what it is that you want to report on, and you have to make sure that you're constantly preparing, because there's always news. There's always something new to learn. I mean, the NFL is changing its rules every year at least. They have owners meetings every 6 months. The games change, new things happen, and the system changes. Injuries. I mean, last year we had, in the middle of the season, the concussion protocol was adjusted because of the situation with Tua. And so those kinds of things, you just have to read, you have to study, you have to be prepared, and then just find your way. Find your style, look at others, understand that nobody's path is going to be the same, because I think that's one thing that many of us decide, oh, well, she did it this way, so I'm going to follow her path. And realistically, nobody's path is the same. Nobody's, road to success is the same. Everybody has a different definition of what success is. So it's again, that study, be true to yourself, find your style, and run with it. There's an audience for somebody.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a place for all of us too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And we're better together, supporting each other instead of trying to be against each other. Because some of you out there are a little catty.
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that, because last week I actually emailed a colleague, and after I had applied for a job, so somebody sent me this and said, hey, there's this job, one of my colleagues friends, she sent me this link to a job posting, right? And I had just met somebody who's in the same industry. And I said, hey, just FYI, they're hiring here. And, I had a problem a couple months ago with somebody who wasn't as open as I am about other people applying for the same job. So I emailed this girl and I said, hey, just to be completely open with you, like, I too applied for the job, but I'm letting you know of it because, hey, even if it's the same job, they're going to hire somebody. So whether it be you or me, like, that's not up to us. Yes, we're competing for the same jobs, but it doesn't mean we have to compete with each other.
Right.
Like, so, and she's like, oh, She said, so you applied for the job and sent me the link to apply for the. I said, absolutely. Because I'm a firm believer that if they're going to hire me, it's because I'm better for the job. I said, and if they hire you, they saw something that was better for you. And I will probably study and find out what it was, you know, and I'll ask the questions. I'm like, wait, why was she hired over me? You know? And then I'll turn around and study. And sometimes it's not even anything that you can learn. I think that's another thing, you know, speaking of advice, it's like, don't take a no personal. You know, don't take a, you know, because they hired somebody over you, it doesn't mean that she's better than you or he's better than you. It just means that they saw something, whoever was making the hiring process saw something in this person that they liked. And that's it. Because there has been times where it has nothing to do with me. It's not my looks. It's not the way I report. It's not what I have, the experience that I have. They simply like that person better than me. And that's it. And you should be okay with that. Do not take it personal.
It's a lot of rejection in this industry. So no, you can't take it personal. But what you can do is have your support system around you to lean on and get advice from. And I think that that's really important. And I'm thankful that I have that in my life.
Absolutely.
Well, Mayra, thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. We appreciate your time, and I hope we can get you back on soon.
Yes, hopefully sooner than later.
Yes.
Enjoy, guys. Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry for my background.
Lucky writers.
So
bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. She's best.
Awesome.
Isn't she great?
She's
we
the
instantly
best.
connected at Super Bowl, and she was like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Who are you?" And we both like fell in love right away. So, and she's been helping. Her advice is amazing. She's one of my, one of the people I lean on as well for advice, and she's always willing to help. So.
You have to have that. I don't know where I would be if I didn't have those people to just be like, "Hey, what should I do about this?" And you and I have those conversations. So, right. I mean, you got to have that person.
Absolutely. So shall we talk some football this week?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
We've got the Buccaneers and the Bills. Thursday night football. Speaking of Thursday night football. What's going on with the Bills, Nikki?
I don't know. They're offensively, they're really disappointing. You know what I've said about the Bills for a little bit now, and I said it a lot last year too. I feel like they depend on Josh Allen so much to do so many things, and they don't have to. And I just don't understand. It's almost like they can't get out of their own way. And then you add their run game has been a little bit shaky. So I just, I think the Bills have lost their way a little bit, and I think they need to kind of, get back. They're going up against the Bucks. Yeah, gosh, I don't think, like I said, they have a shaky run game. I don't think that's great against the Bucks. I see a lot of passing for Josh Allen in this game. Baker Mayfield, he is struggling with turnovers. But I think this Bills defense is going to be pretty ticked off. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay pulls out the win, but I do think Buffalo wins and covers, probably 27-17, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if Josh Allen's regressing. I'm not sure what's going on there and, with the Bills, but I like Baker Mayfield in Tampa. He's got an 81.5 passer rating. He's cooled down from a little bit from his hot start in the beginning of the season, but linebacker Devontae David, he's having a great season. It's his 12th season with the Bucks. He leads the team in tackles. He's got 53, and tackles for a loss. He's got 6. He's on a kind of on pace to surpass his career high right now. I think the Bucks are facing a Buffalo defense that's coming off of the worst game of the season. The Bills, they're favored by 8.5, which I think is a lot, right?
A lot.
I think the Bills are going to win still, but not 8.5 points. No. So what do you think the score is going to be?
Yeah, no, I think it'll be 27-17, something like that. I know it's a lot, but I just think I think they're really pissed off. And I think they're going to come like roaring back a little bit, and Tampa Bay is going to get the brunt of it. So I think they turn it around this week, Buffalo.
Okay, Buffalo. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm definitely picking Buffalo, but I think it's going to be a close game. I think I had something like 21-19 Bills.
Okay.
But yeah, I was like, when I read 8.5, I was like, oh no.
I think it moved because I think it was 7.5 yesterday, the day before. Yeah, I think it moved. So
okay. What about Jets and Giants? Jets are 3-3, and Giants are 2-5. And we've got a Giants home game at 1 p.m. on Sunday.
Oh my God, it's like a war zone here this week. It is.
Oh, it's New York and New York. Oh boy.
Yeah, it is. It's like a war zone.
What is that like? First of all, as a Jets fan, hold on, because there's not another Eagles team. What is that like?
Oh, what with being with the Jets fans?
Yeah, like New York versus New York.
It's like crazy. Like everybody's like going at each other. And it's funny because one of the girls that works for me, she's a Jets fan. So this week we're like, like kind of going at it a little bit, jabbing at each other. It's
also have that New York attitude. The New York attitude too. I mean that stadium's going to be full of
loud, obnoxious people. Yes, loud, obnoxious people. The Jets fans are loud and obnoxious. They are, because everybody wants to say, oh, Giants fans are like, oh, they're so quiet. They always leave early. So the loud, obnoxious people are the Jets fans. If Aaron Rodgers was playing, I would say this would be a Jets win, hands down. I got to give it to the Jets defense. They have a really, really tough defense. They're rested, coming off a bye. But the Giants got a little bit of momentum, right? The defense got a little bit of momentum going. We're not sure about Daniel Jones yet. So in terms of picking this game against the spread, Jets are 4-2 against the spread. Giants have lost 7 straight as underdogs to the AFC East. Yeah. With that, I know everybody's on the Jets. Everybody's picking on the Jets. So what do you do with smart money? You go the other way. I'm going to take the Giants. I got a 13-10.
Okay. All right. So
Deb's like,
I might think a little different, but so all-time matchup of Giants prevail there, 8-6 over the Jets. Their last game was 2019. The Jets won 32-27. Like you said, the Jets are coming off of a bye. They last game they beat the Eagles, 2014. We'll talk about that. So I think offensive players to watch: Breece Hall. He's got 66 carries for 426 yards, rushing 2 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, another one, 32 catches for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns. For the Giants, like you said, still waiting on the injury report for Jones. Saquon Barkley's looking good, still slowly coming back from that ankle injury. But all in all, I watched the Jets beat the Eagles, and the Jets are coming off that bye, which I think is huge. I think the Jets, like you said, their defense is stellar.
It is.
Will they hold Waller?
No.
I don't think they're going to be able to hold him per se. Put him in check a little bit. Okay. Jets favored by 3 on this one. I think the Jets have it. I'm going to go. I think it's going to be close though. I have 27-25. So Jets 27, Giants 20.
Oh, Giants scoring over 20 points. All right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. No, the last game I was impressed. So we'll see. Yeah. I think what you said happened was they were upset, they're pissed, and they're ready to win. So this is going to be, there's going to be some fireworks definitely in this game, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
But so next we have Jacksonville Jaguars 5-2 and the Pittsburgh Steelers 4-2. Two AFC playoff contenders here, 1 p.m. Sunday. What are you thinking?
It's like a sneaky, decent game this week, I feel like, right?
Well, the Steelers are stepping up. You know, like they weren't, and now Kenny Pickett's playing better. The last 2 games, the offense is turning around. Najee Harris finally had some action this last game. Yay!
I know.
Yeah, I mean, and they beat the Rams, which, and their defense is looking good. They had game-altering plays the last 2 weeks. T.J. Watt that interception against the Rams. They won that game. But can they beat the Jags? Like I love the Lawrence. We've talked about this. I love the Lawrence Peterson combo there. And the Jags have hit their stride. I feel like they've won now 4 in a row. That last win against the Saints. The offense is being paced by Lawrence. I mean, they continue to find the end zone, and they're looking to have an undefeated November here. So, and they're going into a bye week after this game, so they're going to give it their all.
So are you taking the Jags?
Can you tell?
No.
The Jags are favored by 2.5. I agree with them. I have Jags 29, Steelers 21.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on all the points, really. The only thing that's pushing this really over the edge for me in the Jags' favor is the ability of Trevor Lawrence to I think he's going to make a few more bigger plays than Kenny Pickett. And that defense has been forcing turnovers left and right. I don't think it's like some crazy blowout type game. I have it 24-20 Jacksonville.
Yeah, pretty even, I feel like.
Yeah.
With Jacksonville a little bit over the top, for sure.
Yeah.
So next we've got Browns, who are 4-2, and the Seahawks, who are also 4-2. So it's a 4:05 kickoff. What are you thinking?
I'm not really excited for this game.
I know. I almost didn't even want to research it.
We don't care.
What kind of game is that?
So we're either getting, I don't know, did Deshaun Watson's MRI results come back yet?
So yes, so PJ Walker is in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, PJ Walker's in. Okay.
Yes.
And he's a little banged up too, right? A little banged up, I think.
I know he played pretty well last week. I like PJ Walker. I actually interviewed him with XFL. He's from Temple. He played with the Panthers for a bit. Used to love the Panthers. He played under Matt Rule. I think he's a solid quarterback. I like him better than Deshaun Watson.
I thought he got dinged up last week, but I mean, it could be mixing him up with somebody else. Either way, I'm still not really that excited for this game. But it's tough to go into Seattle and play. Seattle's really tough up front. And the Browns are going to have to attack through the air, which is not really what they do. So, I'm just going to go Seattle on this one. I have it 24-14.
Yeah, I mean, same. I have it 21-19 is what I have here. I think they're just a pretty balanced team. I mean, it's kind of anyone's game. The Seahawks are favored by 3, so we'll see what happens.
See, now I thought that'd be a little bit bigger.
You think so?
Yeah, I thought the line would be a little bigger. Yeah, I thought it'd be a little bigger.
I mean, so the final one, Bengals, who are 3-3, and the 49ers, who are 5-2, Sunday at 4:25 p.m.
My second favorite team, the Bengals, when the Giants are losing. Everybody knows I'm a Joe Burrow fan. So he could be anywhere. And I would be
they're starting to step up.
They're getting there.
They're coming off their bye too. So, I feel like right before the break, they got back on track, with back-to-back wins there. So, and Jamar Chase is looking good, 15 receptions, a franchise record for 192 yards and 3 touchdowns in week 15. So they're getting there, but can they beat San Fran?
I don't know. Hey, San Fran, you know what? You know what I think we've realized the past couple of weeks with San Francisco? What I think Joe Burrow is going to do is attack those weak corners in San Fran. I know it's that has been exposed, and I think that Cincinnati comes out on fire. I love the Burrow to Chase duo connection when it's working. I know it wasn't for first few weeks here. I think the Niners defense, they're going to slow down the run. I think they will pressure Burrow, at the right times. I'm going to go Cincinnati. I think they win it in a really close one. I have it 27-24.
Okay. Do you see San Francisco losing 2 in a row, though?
Yes.
Do you really? Well, first of all, Brock Purdy might be out. I don't know if you heard this, but he's in concussion protocol, so Sam Darnold might be in. So,
oh boy.
Well, I actually love Sam Darnold, but I have a story about him that if he plays, I will tell next week. So it's a great. That's a little teaser for next week. It's a great Super Bowl story, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, going by last week's game with the Vikings, Vikings stepped up. San Fran didn't. They struggled except for CMC. He just made history with a touchdown in 16 straight games. That man is not human. No. But I think without Deebo Samuel, they're struggling a little bit. So we'll see. I feel like it's all in. We'll see what happens in the next. If Brock Purdy's playing, if he's not,
right.
If he comes, there is time for him to clear protocol. We'll see. But I don't know if I see San Fran losing 2 in a row. So I'm going to go – it's going to be a close game no matter what. I'm going San Francisco 22, Bengals 18.
Oh, I like when we differ on the weeks. There's some weeks where you and I pick exactly the same and our scores are very similar. We went different this week, and that'll be fun. We'll see who wins. I can't wait to hear your story, though. I think you should tell it no matter what.
I'll tell it no matter what, I promise. My Sam Donald story gets told next week. We didn't get your starts and sits though.
Yes, let's do starts. Let's
end it with starts and sits for Nikki.
Let's end it. All right, guys, it's Halloween week 8. Okay, here are my 3 starts that I love for this week. Rachaad White, he's finally hitting my start list. The last 2 games, he has scored 15 plus fantasy points. So, all right, finally. Like, I always feel like week 8, 7, 8, 9s when some of these players really start asserting themselves. So it's great. And he's facing the Buffalo defense that has given up 4.9 yards per carry to running backs. So, that's a very lovely, nice matchup for Rachaad White. And Buffalo is struggling against the run. Plus, you add all those injuries into it. It's a great matchup for him. Jared Goff. I like Jared Goff this week. Wasn't a great week against Baltimore, but that's a tough team. I don't like starting anybody facing Baltimore. But they've got the Raiders. I know on paper, this doesn't look like the greatest matchup, but the Raiders generate pressure on a quarterback at the 4th lowest rate in the league. So that leads me to believe Jared Goff's going to have time to get the ball to his playmaker. So I like Jared Goff this week. And I usually never pick anyone from the Ravens to start because they spread the ball around so much. It's really hard to get a solid fantasy start. But I like Zay Flowers this week. Why? Well, because he is great against man coverage, and the Cardinals run man more than 80% on their plays. So I think Zay Flowers has a nice week. Sits. Brian Robinson. Don't love it this week. Going up against the Eagles. Last time, you guys limited him to 51 yards. You would think playing against the Giants. Yeah, you would think last week he was supposed to have like this great game, right? And the Giants limited him to 8 carries for 23 yards. So if you have to play him, but I just don't love it against the Eagles. I really don't.
And that's all starts and sits are against the other team. So it's all about,
It's it. It's always matchups. I'm sitting Matt Stafford this week. He's yet to even hit 17 fantasy points. I think he's hovering around 15 has been the highest so far. And I don't love it against this Dallas defense. They actually pressure the quarterback at the highest rate in the league. So I don't think this is a great matchup for Matt Stafford. And DeAndre Hopkins is a major sit for me. He's averaging fewer than 11 fantasy points this season. And the Falcons, they've allowed the 6th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. So believe that or not. So those are starts and sits for week 8, everyone. Halloween week. I hope you guys dress up. Maybe you guys will dress up as Barbie and send me and Deb your pictures, right? One more time. Hey. We thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the Blonde Blitz. Don't forget that we are brought to you by Underdog. So you could go to Underdog Fantasy, type in code BLONDE, and you will get $100 towards your first bet and play with some house money. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week. Go Giants.
Go Birds.